Okay, provision for the issue of debentures as per Companies Act 2013. The first provision, that is no voting rights. No voting rights. Next, types of debentures. Third, payment and interest and redemption of debenture. Redemption, that is a repayment of debenture at the time of maturity period. Repayment of debenture at the time of repayment of debenture. Next, issue of debenture certificate. Next, create debenture redemption reserve. So for which purpose the reserve is created? The debenture redemption reserve is created for the purpose of to repay the amount of debenture with interest and principal amount at the time of at the time of maturity of that debenture certificate. Generally the debentures are issued for the period of 10 years. Okay, generally the debentures are issued for period not more than 10 years, but in case of infrastructure company debentures issued for more than 10 years. Next, appoint debenture trustees. Debenture trustees are the institutions, group of persons which protect the interest of debenture holder. So for that purpose, debenture trustees are appointed. Next provision, debenture trustees can approach National Company Law Tribunal. Why? What is meant by National Company Law Tribunal? As we discuss in 11th standard, topic number 12, that is correspondence with statutory authorities. NCLT, National Company Law Tribunal. National Company Law Tribunal is a set up in June 2016. National Company Law Tribunal is set up in June 2016 by central government of India to grant approvals and decides and take decisions about certain disputes which faced by the disputes which are arises between company and with shareholders or with debenture holders. So at that time it is the duty of debenture trustees, if they find that is they means debenture trustees, if debenture trustees find that the amount payable by company after or at the time of repayment of at the time of maturity of debenture certificate but company is unable to pay the amount, so the debenture trustee approach to NCLT for taking action again, and they request NCLT to take action against the company, and at that time NCLT take action and make certain restrictions on the company who is not able to pay the amount of debenture holders at the time of maturity, and these debenture holders, after approaching to the NCLT, that is with the help of debenture trustees, NCLT take action, and the definite amount of debenture holder is paid by company to the debenture holder after action is taken by NCLT. That is, it is a like a judicial authority. NCLT like a judicial authority, न्यायालय आहे. NCLT म्हणजे काय, कंपनीचं न्यायालय आहे, जिथं कंपन्यांच्या बाबतीतले वादविवाद सोडवले जातात. Okay, next, impose restrictions. Next, punishment for contravention of any provision of the Companies Act. So these are the provisions for issue of debenture. These are the provisions for issue of debenture in case of Companies Act 2013. But there are certain provisions which are given under Company's Share Capital and Debenture Rule 2014. First, tenure of secured debentures. Tenure, that is period of secured debentures. Period. Create charge on assets of company. Next, appointment of debenture trustees. Next, create debenture redemption reserve. Okay, and last, that is SEBI regulations, minimum subscription, retention over subscription, underwritings and credit ratings. Okay, so one by one we go through the detailed analysis of all the provisions which are given in Companies Act. So the first provision, no voting rights. As we discuss in topic number 2, that is debenture is one of the borrowed source of company, borrowed source of capital for the company. A company issue debentures without any voting rights. Debenture holders are creditors of the company. Then what is meant by creditors? Creditors means to whom amount payable by the company, that is creditors. Means debenture creates debt on the company, debenture creates liability on the company. So these debenture holders are creditors of the company and not the owner of the company. So owner gets voting rights, but debenture holders does not get any voting rights. Okay, they have certain voting rights, but under certain situations they have certain voting rights under certain situation. Then what are the situation? If the right of debenture holder or any terms or conditions which is proposed to be changed by company in future, so at that time the debenture holder can raise their voice, and at that time they exercise their right of voting. जर डिबेंचर होल्डरच्या इंटरेस्टवरती गदा येत असेल तरच ते त्यांचा डिबेंचर होल्डरचा जो राईट आहे वोटिंगचा तर तो वापरतात. अंडर all circumstances, debenture holder does not have any voting rights. Voting rights is carried in company management only to equity shareholders. equity shareholders or own capital or provider of own source of capital. Debenture is a borrowed source of capital. Debenture are treated as creditors of the company. That's why they don't have any voting rights. Yes, they can exercise their voting rights under certain situations, in which if company deny the right of debenture holder, that is repayment of interest, repayment of principal amount, payment of interest. If all these things are delayed, all these things are delayed by company, so at that time they can raise their voice. Next, types of debenture. This point is not new for us. A company can issue secured debentures. Then what is meant by secured debentures? All of you study topic number second, that is types of debentures. And before starting this topic, I again revise all the definitions and types of debenture also. So the secured debenture means the debentures which create charge on the assets of the company. The debentures which creates charge on the assets of the company, known as secured debentures. So these types of debentures create charge on the assets of the company. So the assets on which the company creates charge, the assets on which the company creates charge, companies not sell out all these assets unless and until the payment of debenture holder of secured debenture. Next type, unsecured debentures. Unsecured debentures means for these types of debentures, company does not create any charge on the assets of the company. Company does not create any charge on the assets of the company. Next, fully and partly convertible debenture. Okay, as we discussed in topic number second, there are convertible debentures. Then again, in convertible debentures there are fully convertible debentures and partly convertible debentures. Fully convertible debenture means the debentures which are converted fully, that is whole debenture certificate. If any person, for example Mr. X, or Mr. X having 10 debenture, in Alpha Limited company, okay, and these debenture are convertible debenture, fully convertible debenture. So the whole 10 debenture is converted into equity shares. Whole 10 debenture is converted into equity share, that is convertible debenture. And partly convertible debenture means the part amount of debenture. If Mr. X having 10 debentures in Alpha Limited company, so out of 10 debentures, only 5 debentures are converted into equity shares, and remaining 5 debentures are treated as a debenture or remain as a debenture in the company. So it is known as a partly convertible debenture. And next, non-convertible debenture, that is these debentures does not convert at any time or at any terms and conditions into equity shares, that is non-convertible debentures. To issue convertible debenture, that is converted into equity shares, a special resolution. Then what is meant by special resolution? Special resolution means the resolution which is passed by 3/4 majority or by 75% of majority, known as a special resolution. And
सर
चॅट बॉक्स मध्ये विचारायचे असेल ते.
सर चॅट बॉक्स मध्ये काय विचारणार सर, मगाचा पॉइंट परत शिकवा.
अरे बाळा, लेक्चर रेकॉर्डिंग होतंय रे, तुमची व्हॉइस पण रेकॉर्ड होत आहे, त्यामुळे जे असेल ते चॅट बॉक्समध्ये विचारा, म्हणजे मला तुम्हाला एक्सप्लेन करता येईल. मला चॅट बॉक्स दिसतं इथं. कोणता पॉईंट मगाशी घ्यायचा आहे सांगा तर एकदा, रिपीट एकदा.
मगाचा पॉइंट शिकवलं तर रिपीट करा.
अरे कोणता मगाचा पॉईंट ते सांग तरी. मी दुसराच पॉईंट शिकवतोय आत्ता, पहिला पॉईंट फक्त झाला आहे, नो वोटिंग राईट्स.
मला काय ऐकायला नव्हतं, नेटवर्क प्रॉब्लेम मुळे.
अरे इथं रेंज व्यवस्थित आहे बाळा, मला काही अडचण नाही आहे. थोडासा
तर
रेंज
मला
मध्ये.
माझं
ओके, मी पुन्हा घेतोय नो वोटिंग राईट्स. ओके, आणि सायमल्टेनियसली ज्यावेळेला मी तुम्हाला एक्सप्लेन करतो, हे लेक्चर रेकॉर्ड पण केलं जातं आहे. जे मी बोलतोय ते प्रत्येक शब्द इथं रेकॉर्ड होतोय, तो तुम्हाला मिळणार आहे. ओके, नो वोटिंग राईट्स. A company cannot issue debentures which carry voting rights. Which carry voting rights. Voting rights is given only to equity shareholders. Only to equity shareholders. Debenture holders are not owners of the company. They are creditors of the company. They are creditors of the company. And what is by creditors? Creditors means to whom amount payable by the company. To whom amount payable by the company, that is creditors. So debenture holder does not carry any voting rights. Okay, second point, types of debenture. There are various types of debenture. For example, secured debentures, unsecured debentures, convertible debentures, non-convertible debentures, registered debentures, bearer debentures. So the secured debentures means the debentures which creates charge on the assets of the company. Then what is meant by charge on the assets of the company? These debenture holders, these debenture holders who creates charge on the assets of the company means without payment of interest and principal amount to the secured debentures, these assets on which company creates charge, these assets on which company creates charge, company cannot sold out these assets. Company cannot sold out these assets. And next, unsecured debentures. For such type of debentures, company does not create any charge on the assets of the company. That is unsecured debentures. Next, fully convertible debenture and partly convertible debenture. But my question is, what is meant by convertible debentures? What is meant by convertible debentures? Convertible debentures means the debentures which are converted into equity shares. Debentures which are converted into equity shares. For example, in case of Mr. X, in case of Mr. X, who buys 10 debenture in Alpha Limited Company, in Alpha Limited Company. So out of 10 debenture, if he convert 5 debenture into equity share, then it is known as partly convertible debenture. Or in second situation, if he convert whole 10 debenture into equity share, whole 10 debenture into equity share, then it is known as fully convertible debenture. Then it is known as fully convertible debenture. Okay, so it is known as fully convertible debenture. Next, the company require to issue convertible debenture to pass a special resolution, to pass a special resolution. Then what is meant by special resolution? The resolution which is passed, the resolution which is passed by 75% of majority, by 75% of majority, known as special resolution. And of every special resolution copy of every special resolution must be submitted by company to registrar of companies within 30 days, within 30 days of passing such resolution. And as per Companies Act 2013, that is a latest uh, provision which is made in Companies Act 2013, all debentures all debentures issued by company is redeemable. Then what is meant by meaning of the word redeemable? That is, all debentures must be repaid by company at the time of maturity. That is irredeemable debenture. कधीही परतफेड न करता येणारे डिबेंचर कंपनी इश्यू करणार नाही. कंपनी ऑलवेज इश्यू डिबेंचर विच आर रिडीमेबल ओनली, विच आर रिडीमेबल ओनली. That is, each and every debenture issued by company having a repayment status or repayment right. That is, all debentures holders having the right of getting their repayment of debenture with interest and principal amount. Next point, payment of interest and redemption. Payment of interest and redemption. Next provision as per Companies Act 2013, a company shall redeem means to repay, redeem means to repay the debenture, and pay interest. Please fix in your mind that all borrowed sources get interest. All borrowed sources, maybe there is debenture, maybe there is deposit, maybe there is loans, maybe there is bonds, all these things, that is all these debt instrument or borrowed sources of capital, the holder of borrowed sources of capital as return on their investment, as return on their investment, interest get interest. So this is a question for 1 mark, interest. And pay interest as per terms and conditions of the issue. At the time of issue of debenture, at the time of issue of debenture, terms and conditions relating to repayment of debenture, relating to payment of interest, relating to rate of interest, relating to premature repayment of debenture, all these terms and conditions regarding payment, repayment of interest and principal amount is decided at the time of issue of debenture. So company must issue debentures, company must repay debenture as per the terms and conditions decided at the time of issue of debenture. Next, debenture certificate. Next point, debenture certificate. What is meant by debenture certificate? Meaning of debenture certificate. Debenture certificate is the document which is issued by company in favor of the person to whom the company allots debenture as a proof of evidence, as a evidence of having dividend having debentures having debentures in the company, known as a debenture certificate. I repeat once again, debenture certificate is a document which is issued by company to whom the company allots debenture as a proof of evidence of having debentures in the company. So company has to issue debenture certificate to debenture holder. Company issue debenture certificate to the debenture holder within 6 months, within 6 months of allotment of debenture, within 6 months of allotment of debenture. Then what is meant by allotment of debenture? Allotment of debenture means passing the ownership right of debenture to the allottee through the process of allotment of debenture, through the process of allotment of debenture. Okay, so debenture certificate is issued within 6 months of allotment of debenture. Next, create debenture redemption reserve. First, what is meant by debenture? Debenture is an acknowledgement of debt. It is a borrowed source of capital. Redemption, that is repayment of debenture. Redemption, that is repayment of debenture. Reserve, that is kept aside for so many years certain amount from the profit of the company, that is reserve. So company has to create a debenture redemption reserve account. Company has to create debenture redemption reserve account out of profit, out of profit of the company available for payment of dividend, available for payment of dividend. Okay, company has to create a debenture redemption reserve account out of its profit which is available for payment of dividend. Then my question is, what is meant by dividend? Dividend is the part of profit which is kept aside, or dividend is the part of profit which is distributed to shareholder in respect of their shareholdings in the company as a return on their investment. So every year out of profits, every year out of profits, company, after payment of all types of liabilities, after payment of all types of liabilities, keep certain amount for the payment of dividend. So out of profit, out of profit only, so this debenture redemption reserve account is also created out of profit. Okay, this money can be used, the money which is deposited in the account of debenture redemption reserve account is used only for repayment of debentures, only, not for any other use, only for repayment of debentures. As per company's share capital and debenture amendment rule, amendment means alteration, change, rectification, rule 2019 MCA, that is Ministry of Corporate Affairs, has removed debenture redemption reserve requirement for listed companies. For listed companies, and what is meant by listed company? Those companies whose names are registered in the list of stock exchange, that is listed company. NBFCs, that is non banking financial companies, and housing finance companies, those companies who are engaged in providing loans or finance for housing purpose. So create debenture redemption reserve. So this reserve is created for repayment of debenture only, but as per amendment rule in 2019, the provision regarding the provision regarding creation of such reserve is removed from the act, and from the act for listed companies, non-banking finance companies, and housing finance companies. Next, appointment of debenture trustees. Appointment of debenture trustees. Then what is meant by debenture trustees? These are the institutions, debenture trustees are the institutions that protect the interest of debenture holder, that protect the interest of debenture holder, that is debenture trustees. If company issue prospectus, then what is meant by prospectus? Prospectus is the official invitation given by company to buy debenture or invest amount in the form of borrowed capital, especially in case of debenture, and it is appeal through prospectus made by company to general public to come and to buy debentures of that particular company, and for that purpose one document is issued known as a prospectus. So if company issue prospectus or invites more than 500 people, invites more than 500 people, so at that time company has to appoint one or more debenture trustees. If company invite more than 500 people, these 500 people consists either to public or its members, company appoint one or more debenture trustees. Then what is the role of debenture trustees? Debenture trustees protect the interest of debenture holder. Debenture trustees protect the interest of debenture holder. So company has to appoint debenture trustees. by entering into contract by entering into contract with them by entering into contract with them as debenture trust deed. Listen carefully the word debenture trust deed. Debenture trust deed. Question is asked like such a way for one word substitution or term or suggest a phrase. The contract signed between company and trustees is known as debenture trust deed. Answer is debenture trust deed. Next provision, debenture trustees can approach NCLT, can approach NCLT debenture trustees has debenture trustee have to redress means to solve the grievances, disputes, complaints of debenture holders. If the defaults or company is unable to repay the principal amount to repay the principal amount on maturity to repay the principal amount on maturity, or company is unable to pay interest on the debentures, so at that time debenture trustees as a duty to protect the right and interest of debenture holder, debenture trustees can approach our debenture trustees can go towards the National Company Law Tribunal for redressal or to solve the grievances, complaints, difficulties finding by debenture holder while getting principal amount and interest amount, principal amount and interest amount of their debentures. So at that time National Company Law Tribunal, National Company Law Tribunal can direct a defaulting company can direct a defaulting company to repay the principal amount and interest, because as per Companies Act 2013 companies can only issue secure debenture, but under certain circumstances company can also issue unsecured debentures. Okay, so when debenture trustees approaches towards NCLT, then NCLT give direction to the company, that is defaulting company, to repay the principal amount and interest. Then grievances, that is complaints, and redressal, that is remedy or compensation. Next point, impose restrictions. When the debenture trustees is having opinion that the assets of the company are insufficient to pay the redemption, to pay or to redeem the principal amount of debenture, So at that time they approach towards NCLT, and NCLT, that is National Company Law Tribunal, can order a company to restrict to incur to incur means to take more responsibilities, to take more further liabilities. So at that time NCLT impose or make restrictions on that defaulting company whose assets are insufficient to pay the principal amount of debenture holder. So NCLT impose on that defaulting company to make restrictions on the taking more responsibilities, taking more liabilities, so as to protect the interest of debenture holder, to protect the interest of debenture holder. Okay, next and last point of provision for issue of debenture as per Companies Act 2013. Punishment for contravention of provision of any act. And what is meant by contravention? Contravention, that is violation, not following the proper provision of the act, not following the proper provision of the act. If company fails to comply, or if company fails to fulfill the provisions, if company fails to fulfill the provisions of the act, then the company and its officers, then the company and its officers shall be liable to pay a fine, that is monetary fine, or imprisonment, that is jail, or both, as per the provisions of the act, as per the provisions of the act. I think all of you understand the provisions for issue of debentures as per Companies Act 2013. Those who understand the provisions as per Companies Act 2013 for issue of debentures, those who understand please say yes. Those who don't understand then please say no. And if answer is no, then which provision they don't understand, please say in chat box. Okay, next provision as per company's share capital and debenture rule 2014, that is rule 18. If company issue secured debentures, if company issue secured debentures, so at that time company must fulfill the following conditions. That what is meant by secured debentures? Secured debentures are the debentures which are secured by creating charge on the assets of the company, known as the secured debentures. First point, tenure, that is period, time period of secured debentures, time period of secured debentures. All secured debentures are issued or repaid by company within 10 years, within 10 years from the date of its issue, from the date of its issue, only certain companies, then certain companies means companies which are engaged in infrastructure projects, infrastructure that is road construction, rail construction, dam construction, companies engaged in all these activities, that is infrastructure projects, or companies which are permitted by Ministry of Corporate Affairs, central government or RBI, can issue debentures beyond a period of 10 years but not more than 30 years. Beyond a period of 10 years but not more than 30 years. Means the tenure of debenture is only 10 years, but in case of infrastructure companies, the debentures are issued for more than 10 years but not exceeding 30 years. Next, create charge on assets. Company has to create a charge on the assets. Charge on the assets of the company or its subsidiary company or holding company. Then what is meant by subsidiary company and what is meant by holding company? And when we studied these both concepts, that is subsidiary company and holding company, what is meant by subsidiary company and what is meant by holding company? Holding company is a company which holds or which have more than one half of the total share capital of another company. The company which have more than one half of the total share capital of another company, and this company having power to appoint or remove all or all or majority of directors of the company, all or majority of directors of another company, that is holding company. Then what is meant by subsidiary company? Subsidiary company, as per section 2 into bracket 87 of Companies Act 2013, subsidiary company is opposite to the holding company. Subsidiary company is a company which is controlled by holding company, known as a subsidiary company. Company which is controlled by holding company, known as a subsidiary company. Okay, so I think what is meant by subsidiary company, what is meant by holding company, clear to all of you. So company has to create a charge on the assets of the company or its subsidiary company or holding company. Okay, the value of charge on the assets which companies the value of charge should be adequate, sufficient to cover the entire value of debentures issued by company to pay principal and interest. If company is not able to pay the interest and principal at that time, the assets are sufficient to pay the interest and principal amount on of debenture holder or of debentures. If government issues secure debentures, listen carefully, one condition, all other discussion is relating to the other companies other than government companies. But what is meant by government company? What is meant by government company? Anybody? A company which having 51% of paid up share capital held by government, maybe central government, state government, or both government jointly. If government company issues secure debentures which has central or state government's guarantee, then it need not create any charge on the assets of the company. In case of government companies only, if central government, state government gives guarantee about repayment, so these government companies need not to create any charge on the assets of the company, need not to create any charge on the assets of the company. Next point, appointment of debenture trustees. Appointment of debenture trustees. To issue debentures, companies are required to invite a public. If company is required to invite a public, so at that time company issue one document to the public which contains or consists rules and regulations for and terms and conditions regarding issue of debenture. This document is known as prospectus or offer letter. The company has to appoint debenture trustees before issuing prospectus. The company has to appoint debenture trustees. Then what is meant by debenture trustees? Debenture trustees are the institutions that protect the interest of debenture holder, that protect the interest of debenture holder. And the contract signed between company and debenture trustees is known as debenture trust deed. Debenture trust deed, DEED. Okay, so this debenture trust deed prepared by company before issuing prospectus, or prospectus is also known as offer letter, or within 60 days from the allotment of debenture. Within 60 days of allotment of debenture, both conditions are applicable. Either before issuing of prospectus or within 60 days of allotment of debenture. The deed, that is trust deed, consists the terms and conditions, which are agreed by the company and trustees, which are agreed by company and trustees, and clearly states the role of debenture trustees. So in the trust deed, one thing which is clearly mentioned, all terms and conditions and the role, functions, duties, responsibilities of debenture trustees is clearly mentioned in the trust deed. In the trust deed. Okay. So the next point, creation of debenture redemption reserve. Company has to create a debenture redemption reserve account out of the profit available for payment of debentures. Company has to maintain at least 25%. Company has to maintain at least 25% of the value of its outstanding debenture in the debenture redemption reserve account. जितने भी आउटस्टैंडिंग डिबेंचर है उसका 25% एज अ डिबेंचर रिडम्पशन रिजर्व अकाउंट में कंपनी को डिपॉजिट करना है. कंपनी हैज टू इन्वेस्ट और डिपॉजिट. कंपनी नेक्स्ट वन मोर इंपॉर्टेंट कंडीशन, कंपनी हैज टू इन्वेस्ट दैट इज कंपनी हैज टू मेक इन्वेस्टमेंट और मेक डिपॉजिट as a deposit on or before 30th April each year. Listen carefully, company has to invest or deposit on or before 30th April each year a sum of not less than 15%, not less than 15%, that is 15% is required or more than that is required, but not less than 15% of the amount of its debenture maturing during the year ending 31st March of the next year. Means under this provision, company has to make investment or deposit the amount before 30th April of every year for to create a debenture redemption reserve or for repayment of debenture which are repaid during a period of one financial year or at the end of next financial year, that is in, for example, as per this rule or as per this provision, if company invests certain amount on 30th April, company invests certain amount on 30th April 2020, 30th April 2020, which is more than 15% or up to 15%, but not less than 15% of debentures which having maturity during the year ending of 31st March of next year. Means this provision which company made on 30th April 2020, this provision which company made on 30th April 2020 is for the repayment of debenture which are maturing in next year, that is from the debenture which are maturing in between 1st April 2020 to 31st March 2021, that is next फाइनेंशियल ईयर में जितने डिबेंचर रिडम और रीपेमेंट कंपनी को जिनका रीपेमेंट करना है उसके पहले ही 30th अप्रैल को, उसके पहले फाइनेंशियल ईयर में ही कंपनी एट द एंड ऑफ प्रीसीडिंग फाइनेंशियल ईयर कंपनी हैज टू मेक प्रोविजन ऑफ नॉट लेस देन 15% और अप टू 15% or more than 15% for the repayment of redemption for the next financial year, money from this account is used for redemption, for repayment of debentures only, for redemption or for repayment of debentures only. Okay, so here we completed the provisions as per company's share capital and debenture rule 2014, rule 18. So how many of you understand all the provisions? If understand, then please say yes only in chat box. If no, then frankly says no, and your doubt about which provision.
तो लेक्चर किती वाजता घेणार आहे?